All right. From the looks of it, I believe that we're in record mode and we're hoping that it works because there's a lot of people that were not able to get on the live webinar tonight. And again, I just wanted to thank everybody for taking part in this, for being my guinea pigs, because I really feel like this is something that we could be moving in the direction of doing with our team. And the cool thing is that once these videos are saved, we can actually share them through sharing them obviously the way we would any other conference call. So my hope in the future is that we will have some webinars for very basic things. It might even be a webinar that's 5 or 10 minutes long that will have information based on how to enroll a new member or how to use my Isogenics for doing drip emails, for coaching and things like that. So I really hope that this works. I'm crossing my fingers that it does. And if it does, we will definitely be sharing this around with the team, so that you can actually do your own webinars through this as well, which is really cool. So I'd like to start out by, obviously, there are my 3 beautiful kids, and hopefully you can see them there. I've got Jack, the little guy here. Caitlin is in the middle, and Hannah. And this was actually our very first family vacation to Mexico last winter. We just decided very last minute, you know what, we've never been on an airplane together, and we decided to just go for it. It certainly wasn't perfect timing, but then again, life doesn't always happen that way. So, living your dreams, I believe 100% is about sometimes having those spontaneous moments and just going with what your gut is telling you. And yeah, sometimes it hurts later because you realize, oh, we didn't, have all the money to pay for that at that time, but it didn't take too long to dig out of that. So, as you can see the faces of our kids, they were so excited. This was our first night there, and they were really thrilled to see the beach right out our window. So anyway, I really encourage all of you to live your dreams and start really building those dreams if you haven't already. So here we go. I'm just going to pull up a presentation that I'm going to do here. Now, I'm hoping that you'll be able to still see this. Now, what I should do, I can't see when I do that. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to see where your hands are. Because if I don't get a chance to actually see your hands go up, that's not going to be much help either. Okay. I thought that maybe it would be on the side, but you know what, guys? Every once in a while, I'll scroll back to see if there are any hands up, and that way I will hopefully not miss any questions, and certainly we can always go back. So at this point, I'm going to have to go back here. All right. So here we go. This is actually going to be a bit of a review for what we've just gone through in the past few weeks, and some of it will be review, some of it will be new information. So what I wanted to start with is obviously this cute little girl that many of us have seen this photo of this little girl around. This is a photo that many people have downloaded, just the excitement in her, when I look at her, I get excited. So I hope that everyone has had a chance to see her before. And sometimes I've actually seen a really great little ad that somebody created with our isoline shake beside it. And it said something very captivating, such as, they don't know it's healthy for me, or something like that. Or maybe it was that she didn't know it was healthy for her, even though she loved the shake so much. So, but what I really want you guys to get excited about is this whole idea of launching your business. Now, some of you are in the very beginning stages of the 1 to 2 year mark. So as you can see, maximum efforts for the least results are what you feel you're going through right now. So it's very important to keep in mind that if you continue to stay consistent, you continue to take action, you continue to stay plugged in and do the things that your, leaders and your mentors are telling you that they've done, you really will go through some of this maximum effort at the beginning, and you'll get the least results at the beginning. But that's when most people give up. So as you can see, that car being pushed uphill, that's when most people lose their momentum, they lose their energy, they start to give up, they start to get beaten down because people are saying no to them and such. So this is one of the times that's so critical for you guys to just stay focused, stay linked to the people that really lift you up, and forget about the negativity that's going on around you. And then, of course, when you get to the next stage, you've got the ball rolling, but it's still going to take some effort. You still can't let off the gas right now. You can't, just let the car go on its own. 2 to 4 years is where you're going to be feeling like you've got the ball rolling, but you're still going to be putting lots of effort in. And then, of course, the critical mass is where your income becomes residual income. And of course, there's the guy in the car, get in the car and ride the wave. And that's where a lot of people get to at a 4-year beyond mark. Now, not to say that in 4 years, you're going to feel like you can just let things go as they are. Obviously, the best leaders in our business don't just stop. They continue to help their members. They continue to keep building their team, keep bringing new people in, and that just gets even more exciting. Now, I feel like I don't really see what you guys are seeing right now, but Melissa Pallister, I'm going to let you guide me. If there's anything that you're not seeing, you can certainly give me a quick text to let me know that, no, we can't see the screen, or yes, we can. I'm sorry, guys, by muting you, it kind of makes me feel like I'm all by myself. So hopefully you're able to see that. Now, one thing that we've been so fortunate for is Susan Sly. Susan Sly is an incredible, incredible mentor. And actually, this thing hasn't been updated since she just became 15-star Platinum Circle. And just this past week, she hit that new rank of 15-star Platinum. And if you're wondering what that is upwards of 600 cycles a week, from my understanding. And I actually don't have the chart in front of me at this moment, but I will share that chart with you if you have not seen it already, because it gives you all the different stars. And thank you, Melissa. I just got your text saying that you can see things, so that's awesome. But as we know Susan, and some of you may have met her in person, others may have just heard her speak on amazing calls that we have, but she's been very well known in the whole area of health and wellness, of inspiring women, all kinds of things. As you can see there, she's a published author of some amazing books, and those books are incredible. If you haven't got your hands on those books yet, you'll definitely want to get your copy. The Have It All Woman is amazing. Every single woman on this call, either in live or podcast version, you definitely want to get your hands on that copy. It's the most updated one right now that's in front of you there. And Inspired to Win an MLM is another great one. Again, she really focuses on how could you be successful in a network marketing company. So that's a very generic book. She doesn't mention isogenics in either book. So it's great for just, anybody in network marketing in general, and also anyone who's a woman who wants to really live a life of having it all. And every single one of us deserves that. She's been featured on many different programs such as ABC Family. She's been in Forbes magazine, Lifetime Networks. Of course, she's actually been on talk shows in Australia and other radio broadcasting shows around the world. So we're very fortunate to be part of Susan's team. She has actually very generously created a program called MIT. So many of you that are on this call with me, or this webinar with me, have been following the format that I've been following, which I call Live Your Dreams. And I just love the sound of Live Your Dreams, because that's really what we're all here to do, is live the life we believe we deserve to have. So with MIT, what that actually stands for is Millionaire in Training. So be really excited and really proud of yourselves, because you are part of a Millionaire in Training group. And any of the information that I've shared with you so far has been information that has come down from Susan Sly and Jimmy Smith. And even Jimmy Smith was sponsored by Carol Taylor, who's actually a Canadian who lives in Quebec. So these are all really great resources that we have at our fingertips. So let's just review some of what Team Success and MIT is. Now, some of this is going to look a little bit different from our Live Your Dreams, but I thought it was a really good way to summarize what we've learned so far, and then also include some things we haven't seen yet. I'll try to go faster through the things we've already seen, and focus a little bit more on the things we have not seen yet. And depending on time, we may actually extend this call till next week. And if we end up getting through it all, which I don't think we will, then we will continue to just go through the next steps that we have planned for next week. I was hoping to end today. However, in looking at everything, really today is not our final week. So for those of you who are thinking this was the final week when I published that last week, I apologize. But I do feel that you're going to get a lot out of this week and next week, regardless of if we get through this tonight or not. So what is network marketing so known for? Really, network marketing is the place to be. If I look at any other business model now, there is no way I'd want any other business model in my life. In 2010, of course, 125 billion worldwide. Now, these are just some stats that Susan has come up with. There are 67 companies in the world that make over 100 million a year. 37 companies in the world make over 250 million a year. And of course, 8 companies in the world are over 1 billion a year. Now, for those of you who are following all the goals that Isagenix has currently, you know that our goal this year is to be $500 million this calendar year. So meaning from last April to the following April 2014 is the goal. And if Isagenix can reach that goal of 500 million by next April 29th, and for any of you listening right now have been able to increase your income by a minimum of $150,000 for a year, then you will be going to Paris, all expenses paid, which is really exciting. There's no limitation to how many people they'll take with them. They are on pace to reach that 500 million. And in order for you to go to Paris, again, I can show you if you go into isafyi.com and you just search Paris in the search key, you'll find all the information about that promo and contest going on right now. And you might think, oh my goodness, how could I ever earn $150,000 before April 29th? Well, guess what? It's very possible. Once you get to executive, which is where every single one of us should be really aiming for, that is where the big dollars come, and you're going to start seeing bonuses like you have not seen in your life. So it's amazing how those bonuses, on top of other bonuses that you're currently playing with right now, if you're not executive yet, you're already getting product introductory bonuses, and some of you are already playing in the leadership holiday bonus pool. Just by being a manager or director or above. And then once you get to executive, your bonus structure becomes even more unbelievable. And I say unbelievable because we are given such an incredible compensation plan. So it is possible for every single one of you right now, even if you just started yesterday, to reach 150,000 by April 29th. It sounds hard to believe, but it is possible. How does Isagenix compare? So of course we need to know, are we in the right company? And as far as I'm concerned, we are. I've had experience in 2 other companies before, and I can't even tell you how much of a difference I feel in this company. It's definitely the best company I've saved for last. So, here we are. We've got some things. I'm not going to read all these things to you because you can see that, but look at that. We're ranked number 36 in the world. That's huge. And we're only just over 10 years old. Most of those companies that are in the top 36 have been around for decades. And we are one of the youngest companies that is in that high top 50. So that's exciting. We also continue to grow in the domestic market. So for those of you who aren't quite sure what that means, that simply means that where we started, which is North America, we continue to grow in our own market. Even though we're growing globally right now, we're still growing in our domestic market. So that's huge because a lot of times companies will open and expand into other countries, but they slow down or they actually lose volume in their own domestic market. So we're really excited about that. Currently, and I know this sounds really hard to believe, guys, but how many of you have heard the term saturation? Oh, this company must be so saturated. I'm hearing so many people are using Isagenix, or so many people have heard about it. Well, guess what? There's approximately 250,000 people in the world currently using the products. Now, out of those 250,000, I don't have the actual facts right here in front of me, but the last big event that I was at, we were told that there were 60,000 people worldwide doing the business. Now, 60,000 worldwide doesn't mean that there are 60,000 people that are making significant income. What it is that people are actually maybe making a little bit of money back. They might be getting a product intro bonus back and things like that. Now, I'm hearing that I might be cutting out a little bit. Thank you, Melissa, for that update. I'm hoping this is sounding better. I'm not sure. Sometimes my internet connection may be unreliable. So what she asked is how many people are using Isagenix. So there's approximately 250,000 people using Isagenix right now. So we are definitely in a good place, guys. And of course, you know, we've got a market geographic currently of 500 million people potentially. So when you look at that, we're very, very, very undersaturated. I mean, we don't even have the word saturation come out of our mouth because we have such a huge market that we can really promote this to. Of course, we've been nominated for several awards, and the Stevies is actually an award that, and I actually remember being in New York City many years ago, and I thought, wow, there must be a really famous award show going on because there were, you know, all these red carpets and a lot of tables decorated and everything. And my husband and I walked by and didn't see anyone we knew, but what we didn't know was the Stevies is actually an award show for business entrepreneurs. And some of you may have followed that Kathy Coover has won the silver for the Stevie Awards as a CEO of a company. So, and you know, owner. So amazing, amazing awards. Now that's not the only award we've ever won with Stevies, but every year we're nominated, and usually every year we've won something. So that's really exciting. So here's the thing. You want to hang your ladder with the right company. And I know that every single one of you on the call tonight and on the webinar feel 100% about where you've hung your ladder. Because imagine getting to the top of that ladder someday and thinking that, wow, I'm not with the right company. And this is what's happening all the time, guys. We see it every single week that people are coming to our company from outside our company. And these people are earning huge money with other companies. And, you know, just to be completely transparent right now, somebody just joined Team Success, and that's what we're part of, is Team Success. But somebody just came to us from Visalis, and I'm sure that many of you have heard of Visalis. It's one of our biggest competitors, but for no reason other than the fact that people think it's similar to our company, but it's really not. It's so far from the truth. But somebody came to our company from that company, and he was earning almost $40,000 a month with that company. And he has resigned his position with that company. He has come over to Team Success, and he became an executive at 1 star within his first week. And I mean, that's telling you that he sees something in our company that his company couldn't offer. And he's actually offering to tell us the reasons why he chose Isagenix. So that's something I'll definitely keep you posted on. All right, so obviously in order for us to be successful in Isagenix, we need to have something called SAR. So we've got skills, and if you don't have the skills yet, that's why you're on calls like this, you're gonna learn them. There are activities that we're told we need to do in order to achieve the success that we're looking for. We need the right attitude. And I mean, attitude comes such a long way. We've got so many different ways we can really increase our attitude. If you think of it, do you have an attitude that's worth catching? That's really the question you need to ask. Because if you don't have an attitude that you are trying to attract others to, then chances are we need to change that as well. And results. Once you do skills, activities, and have the right attitude, you're going to get results. And some of you already have been. So I'm really proud of you guys. All right, our fundamentals. Now, these are some things that I know we've talked a few about. And three-way phone calls, we're actually going to talk a little bit in more depth tonight about three-way phone calls because these have got to be done. If you're not doing three-way calls, you are really not living into your business potential right now. Three-way phone calls are going to allow you to be able to learn on the job. Basically, you learn as you earn. Allow the three-way phone calls to close your deal, to really get someone excited about the business. Maybe they're a product user and they're just showing you an interest about the business. The three-way phone call can be a really successful tool. So start utilizing those if you haven't already. And we will talk more about that. Handling objections. I know we did a call based on that, but obviously that's going to be something that you're going to be working towards improving upon all the time. If you constantly get the same objections, such as it's too much money, or oh, is that a pyramid scheme? These are likely things that you're feeling subconsciously yourself about those things. So the more that you can really focus on helping yourself get over those objections currently, the more you're going to not attract those questions from other people. Some of you might be hung up with the whole auto ship thing. If you're feeling unsure about why auto ship and why people want to start with auto ship, those are things that you definitely need to improve upon. Add that belief to your checklist and make sure that you can address those things, because it will help you overcome those objections very quickly without feeling like you're put on the spot. And I know at the beginning, I used to always feel really defensive. I felt my heart race. I felt myself almost snap back at somebody over something because I felt like, no, you don't understand. So the more that we get comfortable with it, guys, the more we're going to be able to handle those. 30-second story. I know we've practiced that and we've given you kind of a structure for that. That is going to be your tool even before the three-way call. You definitely need to know your 30-second story. And again, we're going to review that a bit tonight. Explain the compensation plan. You really need to try to figure out the compensation plan. I know it gets very complex. It can be very confusing for those of us that don't really like numbers, but there are awesome, awesome tools that I hopefully have shown all of you where you can find all of that. And if you haven't seen those tools, they will be in our group page under the files section. So there's some really great ones. Some of them may speak to you and others may be over your head, but the more you see that stuff, the more it's going to make sense. How do I get paid? Why is it that I'm not getting paid every week? If I have somebody that's a member but they're not on auto ship, do I still get paid? Those are all questions that you really should know. And if you want to, really review the compensation plan in even more detail with those files I've sent to you. Brief product overview. And again, you don't need to know a lot about the products. I know some of you listening tonight are actually product experts and you love the products, and that's awesome. That's fantastic. But just keep in mind that the more you know about the products, yes, it can be very helpful. People are looking to you as an expert, but at the same time, the more you know about the products, the more you may scare potential business partners away. Because I know personally, I really don't have a huge interest in the nutrition part of things. I just know how I feel on these products. And I know that this business is unbelievable because it has no limitations. Every single person can do this business if they actually put their mind to it. So in order to attract the right people, I'm not looking for product experts or nutritionists or even doctors for that matter. I'm looking for people who know how to dream, who know how to believe in themselves, and who know how to take information, be coachable, and work with the same stuff that I'm working with. So we don't need people with degrees in nutrition. If that's your interest, that's great. And, it might be great for your team to let them know that, hey, I love the products. I can be your person to get on a three-way call to explain the products. But if you're talking to every single person about the products all the time, chances are you're only ever going to have product users, and you probably will never really get someone excited about the business, because a lot of people will be like me who will say, I don't want to have to know everything about the products to do this business. I'm not looking for another university degree in nutrition, just not my thing. So keep that in mind. Plug someone in. So right away, when I see that, I think, okay, how are some ways we can plug people in? Number one, obviously three-way phone calls. Number two, definitely a welcome email. When you've got someone new to the team, you always want to send that welcome email to two other people in the team. Plugging someone in also can include sending them to a call, a team call, whether it's recorded or live. And also always, always, always getting them to an event, because events are going to definitely build belief. And the more people you can get to events, the more your income will go up, because you're going to see that happen right away. People are going to understand and believe even more. And then, of course, we've got the 8 steps. And I'm going to give you guys a correction of the 8 steps because I've missed a few things in the last one that we published on our website. So I will definitely be giving you the current 8 steps so that we're not missing anything important. Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, so your story is your power. So here again, we've got just a really quick overview. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you must be able to tell your story. You should hopefully be able to tell the Isogenics story as well. So why did Isogenics get started? For some of you who don't even know, Isogenics was started by 3 people who were in retirement. So we've got Jim and Kathy Coover and John Anderson. John Anderson went to Jimmy and Kathy Coover because he understood how great they were at network marketing. He wanted them to build this business with him. He was an amazing person to put products together. He patented over 2,400 products for all different companies, including GNC stores and other health food stores. But the problem was when he would sell his patent to those companies, they would add fillers and binders and, try to increase their profits. So his product was not as pure as he made it. So when he retired, he decided he really wanted to be able to have a no compromise product. And the only way to do that was to have Jim and Kathy Coover help him out through network marketing channels, because he did not want advertising or stores to take his product and change it. He also wanted to be able to keep the money within the company and organization to allow people like you and I who love the product to be word of mouth marketers. And that's the real beauty of what we have here. So the Mineral Man, John Anderson, created this amazing product for us to share that has a no compromise. And also be able to tell the stories of other people. That's another really great thing about getting on conference calls and getting to live events, because you're going to hear stories from other people. It could be a weight loss story. Maybe you don't currently have a weight loss story because you were fit and lean before you started Isogenics. So it's great to be able to have those stories to borrow and share when you're in front of someone who has a different physique than you. You don't want to only have to, attract people like you. You want to be able to help people in all different areas. Where will you use your story? So obviously the story is going to be your biggest billboard, as well as yourself. And if you're a product of the product, it will show in your skin, it will show in your hair, it will show in the way that you carry yourself, your posture, everything. But you're going to be sharing your story when you're prospecting, and that can happen anywhere, anytime, any day. Even if you're not thinking business, you're usually always prospecting in some way, just by meeting new people, in lines at the grocery store. 3-way phone calls, you're also going to be using your story, especially as you start to create that leadership role where you're actually the 3-way call person for your team. One of the first things that I do when I get on a 3-way call with someone, and I've got one tonight at 10:15, the first thing, I always set that common ground with somebody on a 3-way call, just to see, what it is that we have in common. Maybe it's children, maybe it's the fact they were a teacher before, things like that. And I usually know that kind of thing beforehand. But then the next thing I do is I ask for permission if it's okay that I share my story, my Isogenic story. And usually everyone wants to know, yes, they do want me to say it. So I try to keep it very short and concise and to the point. And that's where you're going to share it a lot on a 3-way call. In-home events, so if you're doing launch parties at your house, or you're going to friends' launch parties to help them out, you're going to be sharing your 30-second story on stage. And yes, I say on stage because every single one of you deserves to share your story on stage. And I still remember the first time I was on stage years ago. I was so nervous. I thought, oh my goodness, I've only ever spoke in front of the maximum number of students I could teach at one time, and that was about 30 kids. And how am I going to stand in front of a room of 300 plus people? But I did it. And it's so powerful when you can share your story on stage. And of course, everywhere. You're going to share this everywhere you go. Certainly that's not going to be the only thing you talk about or the first thing that you mention to people. But when someone asks what you do, or if they haven't seen you in a while, wow, you look so different, what's going on, obviously something's new, you're going to be sharing your story a lot. So you have to really practice it and make it feel comfortable so that it rolls off your tongue. So of course, again, the 30-second story is, how were you feeling before Isogenics? We're going to keep it really simple. And this is review from a few weeks ago. But if you're still struggling with making your story, I want this to be a reminder to you. How are you feeling before? Who introduced you? And this is going to help people understand that you don't get this at a store. You usually know somebody who started first, who is now helping you get started. What happened after you started? And what are you doing as a result of what happened? And this is where the big aha moment comes for people. When you say, what are you doing as a result? Well, I'm continuing this amazing lifestyle. My children are eating the food as well. We're an Isogenics family. And now I'm so excited that I get to empower families to live a lifestyle that is so rewarding in both health and wealth creation. So, these are things you want to be really excited about, because not only are you going to continue to use the products for life, but you're going to be helping other people live their dreams through these products as well. All right. How many of you, and I know I should go back and just see my show of hands in case there's anyone who has missed anything, but let me just take a quick look here to see if I've missed any hands. And I'm hoping that if anybody has, okay, Tammy, I see your hand up here. I'm just going to unmute you and see if there's anything that you need to ask. Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
Hi, I'm not sure if you knew your hand was up. Do you have a question?
I don't think. No, I didn't. I didn't realize it was up. My arrow says it's showing down. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. You know what? I think if you press that, I thought the same because I was on a webinar one time and I thought I put it down, but it was actually up. So no worries. I just don't want to miss anybody. And I did want to come back just to see where everyone was because I know that I was cutting out a little bit for some of you. So I hope that nothing major has been missed yet. But if anyone has any questions or concerns or anything right now, this is a great time because I do see hands right now. And if I don't see any, I will just continue to go back and I'll check again in about another 10 minutes. All right. So what we're going to do is now, I really hope that all of you have started your list. I know I was talking to my aunt from BC not too long ago, and she was so excited. She said, "Oh my goodness, I haven't done my list yet. I know I should, but I can't stop thinking of all these people." And she literally started thinking about people as we were on the phone. In reality, pretty much every single one of us knows 1,000 people. Does that mean that we know 1,000 people well? No, but we have acquaintances of about 1,000 people. So if you think of that, and considering that this business does not mean that you need to enroll 1,000 people, that's definitely not what I'm saying. But when you start writing a list of people down, you're going to realize that you know more people than you think you do. There are so many times people say to me, "I've exhausted my warm market. Now what?" Well, guess what? If you really thought about it, you would not have exhausted your warm market as fast as you think. Often, every single day we are continuing to build our warm market. So even when I say that you're meeting someone in the grocery store lineup, yes, they're a cold market at that moment, but once you start making small talk, they become a warm market. So, warm market is definitely larger and broader than you think it is, but this is something where you have to start allowing judgment to go away and start realizing that you have no idea. We have absolutely no idea who is looking for an answer right now in their life. And we can't make judgment as we start making our list. So my challenge to each of you today is there is a memory jogger or a list maker that you'll find in isogenicsbusiness.com. And if you don't find that, I'm going to try to remember to link it to our Facebook group. But it is going to give you some kind of like keywords that you're going to be thinking about as you continue to prepare your list. It might just say, think of people that are fit and healthy. Think of people that you used to work with in the past. Think of people you went to school with. Think of parents of your children's friends, real estate agents, police officers. I mean, the list goes on. You're going to definitely be thinking of people as you continue to write. Sometimes you can't think or you can't write fast enough for your mind. So, you have to always discount the fact that you're judging them. And if I even put this challenge out, and I know Mike Dallaire has done this to me before, he says, if I was going to give you $100 for every single person you wrote down on that page, how many names would you put down? And that made it different because the mindset is a powerful thing. If we tell our mind that this is so valuable and we have no idea if these people are going to say yes or no, it really is our duty to write down as many names as we can. Am I saying that you're going to call all those names in the first week? No, but you're always going to revisit that list when you feel like things have slowed down, or that you've, not had many enrollments lately, things like that, because it's going to happen. You're going to go through seasons of ups and downs and feeling like you've been really successful, and then now, things have died off a bit. So you want to keep updating that list, and really try to avoid the preconceived notion that you're judging someone and saying, well, they wouldn't want this because they're too wealthy, or they wouldn't want this because they're already very healthy. They wouldn't want this because they can't afford it. If you start making those excuses for someone, you're really limiting what another person could be doing. So all success inevitably lies on the other side from some heartbreak, or of some heartbreak. So Susan Sly has put this together, like I said. And when you really think of that statement, it's so true. I want you just to think about that for a moment. Because when you think of any success in your life up till now, you will realize that there was probably a bit of heartbreak, if not a whole lot of heartbreak, that went through that time in your life when you succeeded. Times where you thought, oh my goodness, am I ever going to make it to the other side? Am I ever going to get through what I'm going through right now to that successful point? And it might be when you went through school. It might be when you went through a really horrible breakup in a relationship. It might be a time that, someone that you knew was very, very sick. You have to think of every single success is worth that risk and that heartbreak that goes along with it. Now, there are 4 levels of prospecting, and I know we've talked a little bit about connecting with people, but I'd love to know where one of you guys are right now, because I know that this man that's screaming, I don't want to call, that was me for so very long. And I have to tell you 100% honestly right now, when I started this business, within my first year, Pam and Kevin Barnum were doing an in-home event at their house once a week. And that was very awesome for me. For any of you thinking, maybe an in-home every week would be great, it definitely was amazing. It created huge momentum, huge potential for people like me, because what happened was we continued to coach and train there. So we had brand new people that were coming to take a look at the products, but we also had a training section every single night. So every Tuesday, there might be, in the end, it actually became a full house to the point where there was standing room only. But say, for example, there were 10 brand new people that were coming to take a look. Downstairs, one of us would guide, the new people with the in-home videos, make it really simple, show one video about products, one video about business, do a couple testimonials, a couple samples, answer some questions, and walk people through a 30-day system and show them really the Pacesetter pack or the President's pack. And that generated tons of questions. But upstairs in Pam's quarters, so we called Kevin's quarters the basement, but up in Pam's area, there would be leaders like myself. And I still remember the day that Pam and Kevin said to me, Tara, you're taking a group of people into Pam's office and you're going to do calls with people. And I went, oh my goodness, it made me feel sick to my stomach. But I remember respecting Pam and Kevin so much, and I still do. I said, absolutely, I'll do it. And that was a growing moment. I remembered feeling like I am so terrified to call people, not only by myself in my own home, but in front of other people. Oh my goodness, please take me out of my misery right now. So I would get into Pam's office and I would sit at her desk with her beautiful, computer and her desk. And I just felt like I was in such a great place. It was like, okay, this success can rub off on me, and I am not going to make any excuses for what I'm feeling right now, because there is a crowd of people standing in this room listening to me do live calls. And I looked like this guy. I don't want to call. But in the end, I was honest. I was transparent to the people that were sitting there. And do you think any one of those people felt any more comfortable than I did? No, but we did it together. People were there to support me. I would make a call and I actually came prepared. They told me that this was going to happen. I came prepared with my follow-up list with, warm market people on my list. So family, friends, people that didn't even know I was calling. And I would just on speakerphone, let them know, how are you doing? Do that small connection first. Ask if they had a moment to help me with something. And I would call people in front of that whole crew. And I have to tell you how liberating that was. So if you guys want to really grow and step outside your comfort zone, get together with one or two of your team members and have a day where you're just going to spend, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and you're going to take turns calling people. This will help you so much, because once you get going, even though people might say no to you, or they might be, questioning it like crazy, you will feel so empowered when you get off the phone, because now you've got a couple of friends sitting there with you that understand what you're going through, and you guys can have feedback with one another, all kinds of things. I know Pam and Kevin Barnum actually offered to do calls like this with people, where I would go to Kevin's office for like 2 hours in one day, and we'd just start popping off calls, and he'd stand there right beside me and he'd give me feedback afterwards. And it just really helped to get some answers that I needed at the time. So if this is you, I don't want to call, I suggest you do something like that. But, you might look at these and say, yeah, you know what? I don't mind calls. I actually really enjoy connecting with people. So I like it and I do it. Number 3. Or, you know what? Number 4, I like it and I can teach it. And that's where Kevin Barnum had such an amazing ability, because you could sit with Kevin and there was no feeling of stress or pressure. He was just the way he was. And that's what I was really trying to be, was that person that I said I like it and I can teach it. I really didn't like it, but I was really trying to teach it. So it just shows how real we are, and how when we put the pressure on ourselves, it makes it harder. But when we become comfortable with the fact that this is just part of the whole process, it will get easier. And keep in mind, you're just offering an amazing thing. Just like if you had a great movie or a restaurant that you wanted to refer a friend to, it just feels more awkward, because you're gaining a little bit from it, because you're getting some rebates back from Isogenics for sharing it with other people. So anyway, I really hope that you'll take some of that prospecting advice and get together with some friends and do that. Of course, we've got these 3 things, and I think we've talked about this really briefly, but there's the practice method. So you might be calling up a friend and saying, hey, I really respect you, and I wondered if there's a chance that I could practice something with you. And, if it's someone that really knows you well, they're going to be very happy to practice, like be your practicing partner. So, they might be like, well, of course, like what's going on? What do you need to practice? Well, can I just pretend that I'm, calling you for, to share something with you? Oh, sure. So then start from that point. There's the referral method. You might have somebody that said no to you, but that's great. Thank you so much for being honest, because I really do like it when people can come to that place of a no, because oftentimes we follow up and we follow up and we never get a no. So we keep following up thinking, am I bugging this person? And when we finally do get that no, really appreciate the no, because understand that a no doesn't mean no never, or no you're stupid, because really it's nothing personal. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's not personal. What people are saying is no, not right now. And most times it's because they don't understand or know enough about what you're offering. So if that's the case, you could ask for referrals at that point and say, that's great, thank you so much for saying no, but do you know anybody else who has the same qualities that you have that would be interested in a second income, or the ability to build a business from home? And in that case, when you're asking someone, do they have qualities like them, it's a compliment to them as well. And then, of course, there's the direct ask method, and that's just being completely direct. I've even had examples where Kevin Barnum, and I'm using him a lot right now because I've learned a lot from them, but he's someone who would actually just go up to someone and, out of the blue, it could be a stranger or someone he knows, hey, have you heard of Isogenics? And that's a very direct question. And he did really well with that. Not every one of us could do that. But if that's you, if you're more of the direct person, then you might want to start trying that kind of approach. All right, we've got the 3-step system. Number 1, you want to connect. So clearly we're connecting with somebody, and whether that's in person, on the phone, but you're connecting. And it could be a complete stranger. Number 2, you're setting the appointment. And remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago. When we're connecting and we're sharing our information, we might say to someone, if you'd like more information, I'd love to send you an email. So of course you're getting their email and their contact information. And then at that point, before you even leave to send the email, you're going to set the appointment. Do you mind if I give you a call tomorrow night at 8? Or if you know specifically that you're available this week, what day would work best for me to call you? That's when you want to set the appointment and then follow up. When you've set the appointment and you said that you're calling them at 8 the next day, you must call them at 8 the next day, because just like any business, you want to follow through with what you said, because that shows you're professional and that you actually do put them as an important part of your business. Even if they're not interested, at least that's showing that you're following up. So if you even get their voicemail, even though you had the appointment set up, I always still leave the message saying, hey, Sarah, I just wanted to follow up like I told you I would. And if this isn't the best time or isn't the right time right now, I'll leave you my number and I'd love to hear from you. If I don't hear from you tonight, I will return another call again in the next 24 hours. Or I would even say, tomorrow at 7:30, I have some availability. I'll call you again at 7:30. And at least then you're still setting another appointment with them, even without that confirmation, but to let them know that you're taking this seriously and that they are important to you. Another great thing is when you're following up with someone, or even if you're connecting with someone for the first time on the phone, and you may not need to set the first appointment yet because they may be in front of their computer. And if you get to a point where they're saying, yeah, I'm interested in seeing some information, this is when you could say, are you in front of your computer right now, or could you be online right now? And if they say, oh no, I'm busy, I can't right now, then you set the appointment for you to call them back tomorrow, or a few hours from now. But if they are in front of the computer right now, then you could actually say, okay, great, I'm not going to send you an email because I'm just going to tell you to type this into the computer. Go to a web address a web browser. And in the address line, you're going to just key in. And for me, it would be www.isamovie.com. Have you found that? Yes. Okay. Well, you'll see that the left column has all kinds of movies about the products, and the right column has all kinds of movies about the business. And what I'd love for you to do is take a look at why Isagenix, or you can pick one yourself that you really like for that person. And I highly suggest for anybody listening or watching the webinar right now, you want to know all the videos. There may be some videos you don't like, and that's okay. But there should be at least one that you can put someone in front of, because those videos are very professionally done. Some of them may seem cheesy or not speak to you, but I really suggest that you find one that you can relate to comfortably so that you can put people in front of that video. And once you show them one video, you can say to them, you know what, this video is 7 minutes long. I'd like you to take some time and watch that, and then select one more that you feel is appropriate for you. So maybe it's an athlete. They're going to see the ISA athletes video. Or maybe this is someone who's looking to retire wealthy. They might see the retire wealthy video. Or maybe they're a mom, enterprising women. So there's going to be another video that hopefully will speak to them. And then you'll maybe say at that point, can I call you in 25 minutes? Because that'll give you time to watch another video. And then I'd love to answer some questions that you might have. So that's really a good reference for you. What do you believe? Now, I know I've talked about the level of belief in all these areas, and this is something that if you're still not a 10 out of 10 in number 1 through 4, we really have to address this. So if you're, 100% sold on the products, you love the products for yourself and you've seen amazing results from other people, chances are you're a 10 out of 10. Usually products are the highest level of belief. Company and founders, you're going to increase your belief in that once you get to events, once you actually get to meet the company founders, once you actually get to the larger events where you can even take a tour of the head office, things like that. You're going to continue to increase your level of belief in the company as you continue to come to those things. Compensation plan, again, as you learn that, that's something that you will build upon. But if you're not a 10 out of 10 yet in comp plan, that's something that you want to focus on this week. So within 7 days, I highly recommend that you guys get to a 10 on 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're not a 10 out of 10 in those areas, you can shift that within 7 days, and I can show you the way that you can do that if you're unsure. Number 5 is always going to be one yourself. Hopefully you believe in yourself somewhat, But as you continue to grow as a person, your level of belief will increase as you go. So that's something to always work upon. Now, building by the numbers, this is really cool. Now, we're getting close to the bottom of the full hour here, but I hope to get through the next few slides. This is really cool to think of, guys. Now, this is obviously Susan Sly's numbers. Not all of our numbers will look like this, but this is what I mean about, anything is possible. You never know. Now, Susan Sly has 4 children, and through her build, she actually had some of her children. So keep that in mind. For some of you, you are currently with baby or having baby, and that does not mean that your business cannot grow. So let's look at this. She began building November 24th, 2003. In 2004, she made $50,000. Was she the fastest builder? No. Was she the slowest builder? No. That's really cool. What's neat about this is these are individual people's numbers, and I'm going to show you my numbers after as well. In 2005, she made $180,000. As you can see, as she goes along here, skip ahead a few years. 2008, her year was $900,000 in 2008. And she told Jimmy Smith, the day that she got in touch with Jimmy Smith, and 10 years ago, actually, she had Jimmy Smith come to Toronto to do a big launch there. And I think at that event, now don't quote me, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was between 30 and 50 people were at that first event in Toronto. And that was 10 years ago when she began building. So now when you look at how far ahead she's come, she told Jimmy Smith that she was going to commit to auto ship for 7 years, that she understood that any business takes usually 7 years to really get off the ground. She understood that it takes time, that it's not just a get rich quick scheme. It's not something that happens overnight. And when we looked at that original slide at the very beginning about the 2-year climb up the hill, sometimes it's a longer climb depending on how much time you have to put into the business. Sometimes it's a shorter climb. But usually by year 4, people are starting to feel like, wow, that time and effort I've put in has really paid off. But she understood that any traditional business model takes a good 7 years to get off the ground. So if you look at that, 7 years. So we've got, 2010 would be her 7-year mark. She made 1.2 million that year alone. Now, these are not cumulative numbers. These are per year numbers. So that's really exciting. When we look at my numbers, I began building September 2009. In 2009, sorry, just to give you some background, my son was 6 months and my daughter was 2 years old. In 2010, I made $7,100. Now, that was a year I was also still working supply teaching part-time. I was not having much fun with it because I was getting woken up at 6 in the morning after I hadn't slept very well with my, still nursing son. But I was still building a small isogenics business at the time, and I was building it by myself. I really didn't have any business partners that joined me that year. 2011 was a different story. 2011 January, my first business partners came into the team, and they were not my personally enrolled members. To this day, I still thank Kirsten and Rory O'Connor so much because they joined the team through another friend of mine, and they decided to go for it. And when I started building with them, no longer was I doing it all by myself. So 2011, I made $47,000, which was really great for me. That's when my husband started kind of taking a closer look at what I was doing, because now I was making significant income. And at that time, I was making more money than I had ever made as a teacher in my 8 years of teaching. 2012, I made $102,000, which is really exciting. That was a year ago that I was closing in on this year, and that's where I was at. This year, I've exceeded that already, and the year hasn't finished yet. So look at this, though. This is the really information that you want to take a look at. I have enrolled 110 people to date. Okay, so that's not 1,000 people that so many people think they need to enroll. Out of those 110 people, approximately 25 to 30 are active right now. Okay, so right now being active, and what I mean by active is they're ordering 100 business volume a month, approximately. Some people are ordering 50, some people are ordering 15. Maybe they're buying a box of bars a month, but out of those 110 people, only 25 to 30 are actively ordering. So, you know, when you look at that, that's a big failure rate if you really think of it. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is don't get overwhelmed and frustrated with the fact that people are falling off your team. That will happen. That's part of the way the business works. But you can still be very successful. As you can see, my numbers, you know, in my income, the income continues to grow, even if my people have started to fall off. 8 to 10 people are serious to build a business, and currently I have 13 active consultants. So that's something I did not become executive overnight. I took 3 years. So I've only been executive since about this time last year. To be completely transparent and honest, it took me a while. So for those of you who feel like you're struggling right now to get to executive, absolutely that's the goal you want to have. And you want your team members to have that goal as well, because that's where the big potential is for you. And it can be such a huge life changer. But know that you don't have to quit and give up because you haven't gotten there yet. So I hope that you guys really see that as a great potential. Now, I'm going to just finish with this slide tonight because we are, you know, at the end of our hour. But think of this. These are hours that Susan committed. And this is very similar to what I would have to say I've committed as well. You're number one, about 8 to 10 hours a week. And that's, you know, getting rid of some TV, some old habits. I used to watch TV with my husband every night. But, you know, it was just senseless kind of time that went by, and you know, we didn't have connection time other than just sitting with each other on the couch watching some TV. So I gave up TV every night of the week, about 4 to 5 nights a week, and I just would focus on my business. Year 2, upwards of, you know, between 10 and 15 hours a week when I could. Some weeks were more, some weeks were less, just depended on my family because I always put family first. Year 3 and onward, you know, it's probably pretty easy to say for me, I'm not at the 20 to 30 hour per week yet. I still am around the 15-hour a week mark. And sometimes it is less. Like there have been this past month, for example, has been so hectic at my house with, you know, some sick kids and some craziness going on in our new home that I have not been able to put as much time to the business as I've wanted to. But I've had my largest growth weeks with my income in that last month. And it's incredible to see that once you start building that foundation, you can take your foot off the gas for a bit and you can see growth. So the really cool thing is when Susan Sly looks at her hours that she's putting in every week, she's earning about $1,500 an hour. So you can imagine if you ever ask for a 3-way call with Susan, she would do it for you, but you really respect her time. And if she says she only has a 15-minute time slot, you're going to get your questions asked in those 15 minutes because as you can see, she's definitely got a high value to her hours. So, you know, and that's something that you'll want to start looking at yourself. If you're putting 5 hours a week in, but you're making, you know, a certain amount of money, divide that up and see what your hourly rate is. I certainly would never make the hourly rate that I make now as a teacher. And so that's pretty powerful, guys. As we end tonight, I just want to thank every single one of you for coming on live. And I'm going to give us just a chance. I know that Pam and Kevin are having their call at 9 o'clock. For anyone who wants to join that call, it starts at 9. So we've got a few minutes until then. But are there any questions, comments, concerns about this format? I'd love to hear any feedback. And if you'd like to speak, just put your hand up and I'll unmute you. All right, Melissa, I'm just going to unmute you here. Thanks so much for putting your hand up. All right, you're on.
Hi. I thought it was way better than the calls. Not that I didn't like the calls, but I like the visuals.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great feedback. Is there anybody else who would like to share anything? Now, I'm not really sure. As I'm seeing, I see beside Debbie Harris and Natasha Walsh, I see little almost like a caution sign beside them. So I'm not sure if that means that it's not working well for them. I'd love to get feedback. If anybody was having any technical difficulties, and I certainly will probably hear from other people that were not able to get on this webinar tonight. If we had a lot of technical difficulties, that would be a challenge. But anyone on the call tonight have a lot of challenges with this? Maybe it was cutting in and out or you weren't hearing me. And I see a question mark beside Deb Lane, so I'm not sure if that means she has a question. I really don't know. This is something I'm just learning with you guys, so. All right. Well, I want to thank every single one of you. And next week, we will continue the same format. We will continue where we left off. And by next week, also, I'm going to be offering another webinar that will be focused primarily on my Isogenics because they're coming out with a new launch for my Isogenics. And I'm really excited to share that because I've been using the current version and I know the new version is going to be even better. But as far as next week's Tuesday night Live Your Dreams meeting, we're going to continue this exact same format with the exact slides that we've been showing tonight. And I will do a second webinar that will be offered to all of you and all kinds of other people for the My Isogenics training. So stay tuned for that as well. And I'll be sending all of you a reminder for next week again. Thanks so much, guys. And trying to figure out how to unrecord.